All right, guys, welcome to another installment of Jantmor interviews. I'm your host, Joshua Morales, and today with me I have Jeff Torres. How you doing, Jeff?
Good, man. Good. I'm doing well, man. How about yourself? You doing all right?
Yes, sir. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for joining and allowing me the opportunity to interview. This is a great honor. So glad to have you on. I'm so glad you accepted. So thank you.
Yeah, man. No, of course. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Absolutely. So my first question to you would be: Is what was your childhood like?
I grew up, in the suburbs of like Inland Empire. So, we grew up kind of not having a lot of money and stuff, but we saw a lot of movies. We saw a lot of television, and I think I found kind of some kind of outlet in that. You know what I mean? Like I found like something I connected to. You know, there was something there that I was like, whatever my reality was, if I could look at the screen, I could see the possibility of anything. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I mean, I grew up. My mom's an immigrant from Mexico, and so I was raised by a single mother. And yeah, I don't know, I was raised with a lot of love. I'll tell you that much.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I know what it's like to have a single parent household. My mom was a lot around, like all the time.
Yeah.
Father really wasn't, So I know what it's like to have a single mother. Means the world. She means the world to you. You know what I mean? Just a lot of love, a lot of support. It's a very different environment from having a father around. So I get what you mean.
And it's weird how yeah, it's not. My father wasn't completely absent, but like, yeah, definitely not around as much. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And but it's interesting because speaking of like having my mom around a lot, it was she was always kind of wanted to be involved. So we had a lot of video games in the house, which is something that like we didn't have a lot of money, but the little bit of money that we had was video games. And so I grew up playing like everything, man. Street Fighter, like all RPGs, Final Fantasy. Like I'm just such a nerd about all of that stuff. Like I grew up playing all of that stuff, and it's like, even that stuff kind of opened my mind, and like the creativity and the imagination kind of was all, it was all kind of tickled by all that stuff,
Right. Yeah. You still play video games to this day?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been playing. It's so funny. I'm a little late on this one, but someone got me into Diablo 3 recently, so I've been playing the hell out of that.
That's cool. I haven't gotten into Diablo. I'm gonna have to get into that soon.
Dude,
I see like a lot of ads.
No, don't do it. It sucks up your life, man. It's really hard. It's good. You keep leveling up, man. You keep getting treasure, and you just after that treasure after a while. It's too much.
Yeah. Hey, I know what that's like because I play. Here it is, right? I play Fallout, so that's like literally like describes Fallout like to a T. Yeah. Like you have, so.
It's like Skyrim thing, man. It's like infinite. It's like you
yeah.
More. And I love those games. They're so immersive, dude. They're so immersive.
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad that you. I feel the same way. I love those games. I know a lot of my friends hate on them, but like, man, freak y'all, man. These games are fire. Like, you're in it. Yeah,
no, and that's the thing about it. Like, so Diablo 3 is online. You can play with friends and stuff like that. You can do co-op or whatever, but you can play by yourself. And like that was something that I loved about like Skyrim and a lot of the RPGs is like you get to go into your own world and your own imagination, and you kind of go and you're just like in it. You don't have like the talking, and there's not a lot of other stuff. You get to focus on this thing. And yeah, man, it's really fun when a game can like pull you in like that. Like God of War for PS4 was one of the last ones that did that to me. That I was just like in it. That game killed me. It's so good, dude.
God of War. I still have to play that. I know Ragnarok is coming up. For me, Spider-Man PS4 was it. I love Spider-Man PS4.
I haven't played it, man. I have not played that game.
What? That's like one.
I know, dude. I know. I gotta check it out.
That's one of the best things. I think that's one of the best things in superhero video games. Last time I looked, like it sold like 1.7 million copies or something like that. Like it sold a lot. It did numbers.
For sure. No, that was a huge release, man. I have not played it, and I gotta get on that.
Yeah, I know Miles Morales is coming up, so maybe you can hop on that. Yeah.
Game looks so sweet, dude. It's gonna be for PS4 and PS5 or just PS5?
I think it's both. I'm pretty sure it's both. Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
So I'm excited for that. Most definitely. Look at us talking about video games.
I know, and no, it's funny. When I saw the nerd thing, I was like, oh, I wonder what like specifically this is, you know. And I was like looking at your stuff, and I was like, oh, dude, video games, and like, dude, yeah. And it's funny because I don't get to talk about like in most interviews, people don't talk about this stuff. You know, they don't care about like what video games I'm playing, and I'm just like, but it's so fun, it's so cool.
Yeah, that's one thing I always want to establish about my brand is like I just talk about anything. Like let's talk about the weather. Like and like I don't really have like a set like I mean like I have questions and stuff like set questions I'm gonna ask you, but like I just want to get to know about you like an artist or as like your childhood. Like I want to get to know more about it. And I think the problem I've had with interviews is either one, they have no energy. Like that energy is garbage. Oh my god. I was watching an interview with Peter Cullen and Frank Welker. And no disrespect to Hasbro, but that man didn't, bro. His energy was not there. Like there was no hype. You're talking to Peter Cullen. That's Optimus Prime. There was no energy. It was just felt like it was just there to get paid. Like I always have energy for every interview. Like you have to have it. And if you don't have it, it's just boring. Like I would have done such a good job. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you want to be excited at the end of the day. Like, and that's the thing. It's like if you're going out of your way to create a platform to have people to talk to people, and like you want to be excited to talk to people, man. Like you should. And I think that's something that I think when I see really good interviews, I think it's usually people that are curious about people.
Yeah,
you know, you're curious about people, and I like love that. Like to me, because that's as an actor, like that's what I study. I study humans. You know, so to me, I'm always like, so what's your deal? Like, what's up? And you're in New York, right?
Oh no, I was born in New York. I'm in Georgia right now. I live
yeah. No, I was out there, so I like. I mean, New York. Everyone on Earth should be a New Yorker for at least a year in their life.
Yes, I love New York. I was born in Queens. I lived there until I was. My memory's trash. Hold on. 13. I lived there until I was 13. Yeah, 13.
Okay. Right.
Now I've lived the rest of my life down here. So my mom wants to go back to New York so bad though. I'm like, because she's so used to the busing and like the trains and like the noise. Like she's just so used to all that. I don't blame her. I have so many good childhood memories there because I would walk from my house to the corner store. Like everything was so close. There was a corner store. There was a McDonald's. Like there were two corner stores back to back. Like I just have so many good childhood. Yeah. I just have so many good childhood memories, and this down here, it's so different. Like you can't walk to anywhere. You gotta have a car. Yeah.
And it's like that's the thing. In that city, it's like if you want to do stuff, you get up, you get out of bed, and you go do stuff. Like the city's it's at your disposal, man. Like you go and you can do what you want. Like sometimes it's physically hard. It's very physically challenging, man. But like you can do it. If you're running behind, you can run down the street to catch a train and then like get there faster. You know, if you're in LA, you're stuck in traffic. You can't do nothing about it. Like you're in traffic. That's it. That's it. You're just
exactly
over there. It's like you want it, you can do it. It's just gonna be really hard. And I love that about that city. It's like everyone's attitude is like, go get it now. Like the harder you try, the more respect people give you. Like there's that sense of there's a real sense of pride, and I love that, man. Because I grew up like that, so. You know, it just, I was going, dude. Yeah.
Nice. So, what pushed you into the entertainment industry?
Well, like I said, I grew up watching movies, man. Like, I honestly, I on weekends, we'd always go to the movie theater. I grew up watching television. I grew up, like, Three's Company, like, watching all these comedies, like, Fresh Prince, like, Martin, Seinfeld, I just all that stuff. And even, like, telenovelas, man. Like, I'm like, Mexican-American, so, like, I have a lot of that kind of like dramatic side of, you know, watching the soap operas and stuff like that growing up. I'm bilingual, so I would watch all that stuff with my mom and like, you know, and my family, we would kind of check that stuff out. And it was weird. I like found myself wanting to do all these things. I was like, I want to be like a fighter pilot, or I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be this and that. And I realized, I was like, I think I just want to act. And so I was like, you know, and I was a class clown. I always mess around a lot and stuff. I get in trouble all the time in school for that.
Same.
Yeah. And so that's it, man. And so I just kind of like, I was in high school and I just started doing plays. I did a play and something just clicked in my brain when I was on stage. It was weird. It was like I was rehearsing. Like my body was like, I want to be an actor, but I didn't know what that meant, right? My mom was like, you got to theater. You got to do theater. I'm like, okay. All right, I don't know what that means, but okay, I'll do theater. Fine. So I do theater, and I'm doing this play, and we're rehearsing, and it just feels like stale. Like I don't know how to bring it to life. Like I know what's inside of me, but I don't know how to bring it out. And I got the lead in this play my senior year, and I don't know what happened on that stage. It was crazy. Like something happened when the audience was there. It's like I came alive. And I started doing stuff, and everyone was laughing. People were like roaring in the audience to like the shit that I was doing, and it like, sorry, man, I didn't mean to curse, but like, yeah, but like, it just like, you know.
No, that's fine. I've had multiple interviews.
yeah. But so that happened, and I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta figure this out. So I went to UC Riverside, and I'm super fortunate. Eric Barr was the theater chair at the time, and he kind of took me under his wing and kind of taught me my foundation for acting. And I realized that storytelling is important to me, and now I'm trying to get into writing and directing and doing all that stuff. So I just kind of did that, man. I moved out to LA, and I just started doing it, you know?
Nice. So you live in LA right now?
Yeah, I'm currently here right now, yeah.
How is it over there, man, because of all those fires?
Yo, man, the air quality was terrible, dude. It was weird. Yeah, it was already like, yo, everyone stay in your house, and then suddenly it was like, okay, you can go outside at least and walk around, and then the fires is like, nope, get back in your house, man. Everyone in your house. And you're just like, I get it. Universal, whatever the powers that be, I get it, man. You don't want us to be outside, okay. So it's challenging, man. Like you're stuck in here, you know, you do your workouts, if you do your work, if you do anything that you do it here in your apartment, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, you feel stuck, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, oh man. I couldn't I'm sorry, I'm never moving to California. I can't, like it's just it feels like there's something bad, one thing after another. If it's not wildfires, it's earthquakes, it's just a lot. It drought, like it's like
it's a lot, man.
It feels like
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know, man, but I grew up in Southern California, so I'm kind of used to all this stuff, the earthquakes and stuff. I don't freak out or anything like that. It's just they are kind of part of life, I guess. You know, it's like when people tell me about tornadoes, I'm like, wait, what happens? They're like, oh yeah, man, it's like, and I'm like, what the? How do you live knowing that's gonna happen? And they're just like, oh, it's whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I mentioned earthquakes, and they're like, what do you mean, man? The earth shakes? And I'm like, yeah, like it's whatever. Same thing.
Great.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been in an area where it's like bad. I mean, it's rained a lot. But like rain is rain. Who cares? I haven't lived with, like you said, earthquakes or like, so I've never experienced that, and thank God I haven't, because I don't want to deal with that. I'm fine. But
you know, if you can avoid that stuff, that's ideal, man. Definitely.
Yeah, because I remember my mom told me though one time in New York, I slept through an earthquake. I was like, an earthquake in New York? Yeah, I was like, I don't remember. Well, I mean, I was asleep, but she was like, I slept through an earthquake. But I was like, that's kind of weird, because I wouldn't know how I would react if it was like a little earthquake, like while I'm awake or like moving around. But I guess.
There was one when I was there, I think, dude, last year, I think. Okay. I remember because I was like, I thought they didn't happen on the East Coast. I thought that was just like, I didn't know that was the thing that ever happened. And it freaked me out because I was like, yo, there's an earthquake in the city, the whole thing will fall in the ocean, man. Like, it's like you know, Manhattan's just gonna collapse into the ocean. I was like, what? Yeah, I was laughing about that. I was like, man, I brought the earthquakes with me when I was out there. But yeah, it is kind of what it is, man.
Yeah, most definitely. So, what would you say was the most difficult part about getting into the entertainment industry, and what did you struggle with the most?
Dude, you know what, man? It's weird. I think there's a couple of like things, you know. I fall into like a weird middle category where like I am like, you know, I'm mixed race, but like depending on who you ask, I could be anything. So like depending on who you're talking to, they'll be like, oh, that guy's Middle Eastern, or that guy's like East Indian. I've got like, you know, every Latin descent thing ever. Like it's like, or that guy's white. Like I got everything, and for that reason, it's hard because I think a lot of guaranteeing work is like you have to fall into a category, and I don't really. I never felt like I was in a category. I'm super into fitness. I work out all the time, all that stuff. But at the same time, I love Final Fantasy and I like Rick and Morty, and like I'm a nerd. I actually am. Like I grew up deep diving into that culture. You know what I'm saying? And so it's weird because people go on the surface, they go like, "Oh, you're this kind of person," and then they get to know me, and they're like, "Oh, you're not." So like, I get it. I guess an actor, you have to become whoever you have to become. But I think it's just hard because you kind of have to start creating your own mold. Because if there's no one like you before, you know, there's no one that you can look to and be like, "Oh, that guy's got a similar thing that I want to do." It's really hard because you had to carve out your own path.
Right.
So, you know, even though I speak Spanish, I'll go into things and they'll be like, "You're not Mexican enough. You're not Latin enough." And I'm like, "I don't know what you want from me. I can't. I am the thing. You're telling me I don't exist, which is weird because I'm standing right here. You know what I mean?" So there's a weird thing where you keep bumping up against it, and it's like, so it's weird. Like it's like everyone's got to pick a team, everyone's got to pick a side, and sometimes I feel like I'm in the middle, looking at both sides. Like, well, then where do I go? You know what I mean? So that's a real challenge because I think people want an instant read. They want, if you come in, they want you to be the thing, and they want to look at you and be like, "Oh, I know exactly who this guy is." And I think I don't necessarily have that all the time, you know.
Most definitely, yeah. I can relate to that too.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
That to me has been a challenge. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I can relate to that too during my school career right now. It's just kind of like I don't fit anywhere. I know it's kind of like weird, or like people, I don't know. It's just like I don't fit into anything. Like I'm trying to get into sports. I'm not really a jock kid. I mean, like I'm into the stuff I'm into, but it feels like everyone in high school is like a part of a certain mold, if you know what I mean. Like, oh, partying and sports, and like all my friends play sports. Like every single person I know goes to high school plays sports, and it's like I don't play sports. I interview people. I make music. Like I'm just so different from other people, and it's just kind of the good thing about that is like I'm doing my own thing. Like I'm dope. Like I don't care. But the struggle is that you feel out of place a lot of the times. That's just kind of not a good feeling because it's like, oh, you feel alone, or else you don't have anyone to talk to or relate to because of what you're into. So, yeah.
I mean, you speak my language, and I mean, I feel you. It's funny because, you know, lately I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm sure because of the pandemic and everyone, we have a lot of time to spend by ourselves to really think about stuff. I've been thinking about that a lot because, you know, you grow up and then people go like, "Oh, high school eventually ends," and then like everyone is, you know, going to become whoever they're going to become, blah blah blah. And the older I get, the more I'm like, high school never ends, dude. You're going to keep running into. I mean, I'm telling you from my personal experience in the industry, there are cliques. There are people that are like, "This is what I do and this is who I am," and you as an individual can. You know, you can play with people and you can be like, "All right, cool, I'm cool with this person, I'm cool," but it really sometimes comes down to people being like, "Oh, if you like that person or if you work with that person, then you can't work with me." Like there's a weird sense of something, and it gets even harder when you're like, "Oh, dude, my livelihood, like my ability to make money and create is now being affected by the fact that I just want to be myself."
Yes.
You start facing like a really, and I'm telling you, like, yeah, you're talking about loneliness, man. Like, believe me, I feel you. Like, it is so challenging to find where you belong. And I've been really fortunate that eventually you start meeting people and you start making your crew of people that you're like, "This is my person for this reason and that reason or whatever." But it's like a constant challenge, you know. I think you know what you're doing. I mean, you're doing music. You're already kind of get a sense of the stuff that you're into. I think a lot of people, when they're younger, you know, they just go, "Well, I'm going to do whatever's in front of me. Like, I'll go with this group, I'll go with that group," and then they don't start thinking about this stuff until they're way older. You know what I'm saying? And that's like really a challenge, man. And it's a challenge by its own way. And it's kind of cool to hear you saying that you're like, "I'm doing my own thing." Because when I was in high school, dude, man. I wish you could see my ID, man. So I was into Dragon Ball Z. I was like obsessed with Dragon Ball Z, man.
Let's go!
Dude, you don't even know, man. No. So like, I would bleach my hair. My hair was like 7 inches long, and I would bleach and spike it. It was like up to like, and I would go to school my freshman year. People like everyone knew me. They called me Goku or they called me Flame Boy because of the skating brand. And so I would walk around and it was insane, but it was like I was a weirdo. But everyone, like, no one made fun of me. They were just like, "Who is this guy? This guy's out there, man." And I was just like, I like what I like, and I like want to do that. So I started working out with anime, man. Like it changed my life. It's crazy, you know. Yeah. So anyway, man, like you kind of figure out that stuff, and I think as you get older, dude, honestly, just be honest with yourself and like the things that you want to do, man. It really will be good for your like mental health to be yourself, if you can.
Absolutely, most definitely. We're gonna talk about that too. Mental health. I know you did a short film about that called Once.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we'll definitely talk about that a lot more. And also September is Suicide Awareness Month, and I've been trying to talk to people about that because I think it's very important. Because even though I talk about it, I also want to have people on to discuss about it too. Like I wanted to talk to on the best. He played Jar Jar Binks. I thought that when I sadly didn't get a chance to bring him on, but I really wanted to talk to him this month because of his experience with Star Wars and the stuff with mental health. And I feel like we would have had an amazing conversation. But I guess another day. But yeah, it would have been cool.
Yeah,
But,
it's. I mean, this is luckily it's getting easier to talk about that. Like talk about mental health is getting a little bit easier. It's one of those things where that is the problem with it, though, is that even now you still mention something like if you even talk about suicide or anything like that, it's like since we don't talk about this stuff at all, people they freak out. They don't know what to do with that information, or they think, oh, this person's sad because of bad feelings or like had a bad day. And I don't think that we really understand like how that's not how it works, How sometimes there's chemicals in our brain that just aren't working, or we have other kind of traumas, like whether they're we're born with them or we create them like, as we're living. We get these things, and because we can't talk about them when they happen, especially men, I think that's a huge problem in like a lot of male. We don't have a lot of role models that go like, let's talk about how we feel. That's not a thing that we're allowed to do. We can't feel. If we feel, there's something wrong with us. If you feel sad, you be happy. And it's like, it isn't that simple. Like, and I do think, look, man, no doubt about it, there are things that I know for a fact make my mental health better. If I work out, if I run, if I go for a walk even every day, that will make me feel better. My brain and my body start working to be like, all right, cool, man, we're alive, let's go, But there are days where I don't feel like doing that, and it's like a snowball effect. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and you're just like, I don't want to get out of bed, dude. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Again, people go like, oh, there's something wrong with this person, and it's weird because when you talk about it, you realize like how many other people feel that way. That's crazy.
Yes.
That's crazy, right? Like, you talk to your friends and you're not the only one, but then you're like, well, why can't we talk about it? Like, what's the deal? I mean, if we don't feel this way, like, we should be figuring out how to like help each other out with this stuff instead of like shaming people about it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I also feel like it goes
what it's like right now with social media and growing up. That must be insane, man. That must be insane, dude. Being in high school with that stuff, like, I can't even imagine, dude.
Right. Yeah, dang. Exactly. I also feel like people don't know how to handle it. I was talking to one of my friends. I was like feeling since I was down that day. I was like, oh, da 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 da. And he said, oh, well, just be happy. Like I was like, okay, thanks. And I just kind of ended it there. I didn't want to be like rude or say something. I was just like, okay, thanks. I appreciate it. He was like, oh, just be happy. And if you need to talk about it, like talk to me. But I was like, like, you're not helping me. I am talking to you about it.
Yeah.
So I just feel like people don't know how to handle it. And I think it's important that people learn and do a little research on their own to kind of gauge and understand why people feel that way to better help others. Because literally just saying, oh, be happy, or I'm here for you if you need it, but you're not there for me when I need it. Like it's just like you're not helping at all. You're making it worse. So
Yeah, kinda. And it is, and I think again, I think like there's a huge problem that we have. I think that we want answers all the time. We want like clear answers. Like I don't want to think about this. I just want to go like, if someone goes like, oh my, I have a headache. You want to go like, here, just take this pill, and that's the end of the conversation, right? And it's like, you know, sometimes they're so much more complicated than that. You know, I think people don't want to have uncomfortable conversations, and I always think like everything that's been good in my life has come from some level of discomfort. If you think you can work out and change your body and your body chemistry and like your metabolism, like those things, you can change those things. If you think you can just do it by feeling comfortable all the time, then you're just wrong. That isn't how it works. If I went to the gym and if I worked out, if I did push-ups, if I did like 5 push-ups every day, that wouldn't do anything for me. It wouldn't improve me at all. It would do nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to push yourself to the point of discomfort, and you got to push past that so you can find out how far you can go, like what you really are, right? And I think with mental health is the same thing. You got to have uncomfortable conversations. Like if you're seeing a therapist or whatever, you're gonna have to talk about things that you don't want to talk about, dude. You're gonna have to talk about things that are hard because that's you know, and you go through that work and you start figuring out how to work better, how to function better, how to not be so down on yourself for feeling the way that you feel, and that's important, dude. So yeah, with my short film, it's funny because I didn't even think about it being a mental health thing. When I made it, I just did it. I was like, I just kind of threw up like how I was feeling with the quarantine, with like everything. And I was like, I had a thought that like if I feel something deeply enough, I can't be the only one on earth that feels that way. Like even if I have no proof, you know, there's something about this that I was like, I feel this way sometimes, and I cannot be the only one that feels this way. So I just directed it. I did this thing. I shot it, and I shared it with friends as I was like editing it and stuff like that. And it was crazy to me how many people were like, "Oh my god, that's how I feel." It blew my mind, dude. I was like, "Oh," and that to me is like the point of art. Like that's why I want to tell stories. I want to direct more because I want to be able to control and honestly tell stories, you know, that affect other people, that have meaning to other people, not just me. But it's my way of like dealing with my own stuff, but then also making other people feel like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. You know, I want people to not feel alone, I guess, you know? And I think art does that. If it's done right, it does that.
Absolutely, I 100% have that same goal because of things I went through as a child or things I'm going through currently. I feel like it's important to share those experiences, let people know what you've been through, to help people get through what they're going through. So yeah, most definitely, that's exactly where I'm at. How long is the short film?
It's like 7.5 minutes. It's about 7 minutes, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so cool.
I'm going to release it actually October 1st, which is funny because I'm like, oh, I mean, it's mental health awareness September. I should have released the end of the month. But it just, you know, didn't work out that way. So I think October 1st on Thursday, I'm going to put it up probably on IG Live and on Vimeo. And then that way, you know, it can go out into the universe and people can see it. My friend, Danny Manning, she's like this artist, and she made the poster for it. And she just sent it to me earlier today, like right before this interview. And it's so good. I love it. I love it so much, man. The poster's sick. So I'm going to post the poster after we're done here on Instagram for people to check it out. And then Thursday I'll be launching it so people can check it out.
Nice. I'll be sure to share that around because I think it's very important to have that. So at your young age, you've been involved in a lot of stuff: television, film, and theater. Which would you say best describes yourself?
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's hard, man. But I think all of them have like different parts. Like they have different things that work, and that they have a really cool thing. So the cool thing about theater is like it's kind of an act. It's like 4 actors, right? Like it's like once you're on the stage, like you're there and you're living a story like through, and you get to do it, right? The thing about film is the whole time when you're shooting, it's like collaborative. Everyone like working together to have a goal, and you're all trying to kind of get together. It's a little different because you have to like measure your brain, like you have to pace your brain differently. Because you have to do the same thing over and over and over again. Like, you know, it's not you don't like do the scene once and you're like, all right, cool, we did it. It's like, no, you did it, and then the lighting wasn't good, or the camera wasn't good, or it wasn't good, and it's like, yeah, again. And it's funny, shooting a short film, I realized like how important everyone on set. I've always been appreciative of everyone on sets, but when I was by myself shooting with my own camera, like with the app on my phone, it was like, oh damn, this is hard, you know?
Yeah.
But I think like, you know, they all have kind of their own merits, and I don't know that I enjoy one more than the other. Theater sometimes feels more raw and more honest because at that moment it's happening. So that experience that I have with the audience that night, it's going to be different for every single person every single night that they go, even if it's just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? There's something fresh and like real about that. And then the film thing is like, you know, I do my performance, and then once that's done, it's like out of my hands. It goes to the editors, it goes to the director, it goes to everyone else who makes the choices to put it all together. And I trust that team's going to put it together in a way that will work. But yeah, I mean, I like all of it. And TV is like the times that I worked on TV, it's like really efficient. Like TV,
Right.
and it's just very like, we're gonna do this, we got a plan, we gotta do it, we gotta go, and it's just kind of cool. It's very, you know, it's cool also.
Right. Okay. Okay. Cool. I wish I could be in freaking all of that because I'm in film class now and I'm learning how to edit and stuff. Just basically get into editing and just do my thing there. But it's just so much. Like editing is difficult. Like I edit everything on my phone, and it's such a pain. When I tell you, I just edited a 2-hour, 15-minute interview on my phone, and my phone crashed like 5 times.
Oh, dude, no!
It crashed 5 times. I just was like, because I do something special with my IG interviews. I take a picture of the screen, and it's like two like black bars, and I like put their face, my brand logo on it, and just do the whole 9 yards. And I couldn't do it because the interview was so long, and it kept crashing my phone, so it wouldn't let me edit it. So I just put it on YouTube the way it is, and I just need a computer. I'm so tired of using my phone for everything.
Yeah, no. It's funny because I was looking at because when I was editing this thing, I ran into that too. When I was exporting it, it would crash. So I had to cut it into pieces. I was like, I got to make it like 7 pieces and export it little by little, and then put it all together as one. And I was like, that's so annoying. So I was looking at building like my computer, because I built my last couple like my desktops, you know. So then I'm just like, it's so much cheaper to do it that way. So I'm thinking about just maybe possibly just doing that or whatever, and it might be helpful, man. But yeah, I feel you, man. It's really frustrating when like your technology is not up and you're just like, I don't do this, man.
Right, it's awful. It happened twice because I had to edit an interview with Chester Bennington's son, and that took took 5 days. No.
Yeah.
It took so much. It took like 6 days to edit. I remember because I was losing my mind. My phone kept saying stuff. It's like not enough storage or this. I felt like I was gonna snap it and like throw it. I was getting so angry. It's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, dude, yeah, man, you're speaking my language. I'm telling you, yeah, there were times where I would get up, like it would crash, and I would just get up and I just walk away. I would just walk away, and I gotta do something else. I need to just walk outside. I can't look at this anymore right now, or I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. I'm gonna go crazy. So
yes.
Believe me, I feel you, man.
Yeah, most definitely. Your new film House of Demons is now on Amazon Prime. What do you think has contributed to make horror such a mainstream genre?
Dude, I think honestly, man, I talked about this in some other interview, and I was talking about it. I think horror is just like it's like part of culture, right? It's like, you know, if you think about us as like humans, we gather around the fireplace, like state, whatever that looks like. You know, we tell stories, and then we go, oh man, out there, the unknown and all the darkness that we don't know what's out there in the forest. That's scary. And I think our imagination, we just make up stories about that, you know? I think there's something like primal about horror that people go like, that fear of like whatever your survival instincts, whatever that is, there's something about that that I think is forever interesting. You know, and I think in the film industry, the reason I think it took off in a huge way also is because a lot of horror films based on those ideas, you don't need a huge budget. Like, this is a lower budget horror movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like a weird, kind of psychological, creepy movie that we shot in the cabin. And I think that's the thing. A lot of them, if you have a cool story and you can tell it interesting and you have good actors, you know, you can get away with not spending a ton of money. And I think this was one of those examples of like of a movie that you're just like, oh, okay, this is a really interesting idea. And so I think that's why horror is just, it's going to be around forever, you know?
Most definitely. I mean, shoot, if they make a movie about the ocean, I mean, people just scared about the ocean, you know what I mean? Because we discovered 7% of the ocean. That's crazy to me. I think about that all the time. How we discovered 7% of the ocean? There's got to be something down there that's just waiting to come get us. Cthulhu is down there chilling or something.
Well, and that's the thing, right? So, like, that's and so you got to think, if everyone has some version of that thought, like, oh, what else is out there? Then what else could be anything? Depending on who it is, you can invent whatever you want. You know, you can just be like, oh, what if this is out there? What if whatever? And I think that's where the genre comes from, man. That's where that comes from. That like the fear of like, what is it? You know, whatever. You know, so I think that's probably why. I feel like sci-fi is similar that way too. Where,
right.
You know, those questions, you kind of go down a rabbit hole of like, yeah, well, what is what? You know, what's going on? All that stuff.
Right. What is your proudest accomplishment so far?
Dude, it's kind of a hard question, but I'll be honest, man. I think there's a couple. I mean, like, acting wise, I was on Criminal Minds Beyond Borders with Jantmor, and that was like one of the coolest. I mean, he's like, I grew up watching him. I grew up like, you know, Forrest Gump, like, you know, he was the bad guy in Ransom, like, you know, he just. And he's like a huge theater actor. He's just like this incredible performer that I grew up watching, and I got to do a scene with him, like a real scene. Like, I was like in it, man. I was going at it like with him, and it was just like cool, man. It was just amazing. That blew my mind. That was just so cool because I think a lot of times we think like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't know. And when you're in a situation with someone that you respect like that, and you get to do work. Really do the work with someone like that, and you can hold your own. You go like, oh, dude, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this, man. Like, I know what I'm doing, and that was a really cool experience that like meant a lot to me. And then I think this short film is like probably to me, just because I got to do everything. I got to edit it. I got to, you know, I kind of proved to myself like, oh, I can tell stories now. I don't need permission to tell stories. You know, and I, you know, I hope to do more of that on a bigger scale when I can. Eventually, I'd love to do that, man. I'd love to tell more stories and, you know, work with more people when it's safe and figure out that stuff, because I'd love to do that.
What's one franchise you would like to be in? Speaking of big screen.
Franchise, dude. There's I think they're adapting it into like a show. They're gonna make a movie first, then a show. But there's a series of books. I forgot I think it's called the King Killer Chronicles. There's a book called The Name of the Wind, which is like a really cool book. I would love to be involved in that somehow. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda is like doing the music for it. I think he's executive producing. I don't know who else is involved, but like, yeah, that would be really cool. That would be awesome. I'd like to be in a superhero thing at some point. I think I would like to do that. I don't really know, but they're doing a Final Fantasy show. If I could be in that, or like The Witcher, I mean, like, that to me, that would be awesome. I would love to be with The Witcher. I would love to be in a show like that, man. Like, that is, it hits all the nerd spots for me, man. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I play RPGs. I like action and magic, and like, all that stuff, and it's all combined into that kind of world. And Final Fantasy is obviously very similar. So that kind of stuff to me, I'm like, just put me in there. I just want to be in there. Let me be in there. Let me ride a chocobo, and like we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Working with Henry Cavill and all those other people.
Oh, actually, yes, and I would absolutely 100% want to play Superman one day. I want to play Superman. I want to play Superman. I'll just flat out say that. I have, since I was a kid, I was like, oh, and people would be like, oh, you big at Superman. And I grew up watching all the movies and being like, this is like a simple like hope. And there was something about that character that I was like, yeah, man, I would absolutely love to do that.
I mean, it's like Superman all over the place, so I don't doubt that you can play Superman one day. I mean, you got one CW, we have Henry Cavill, we have Tyler Hoechlin for CW, we have Henry Cavill. I don't know. I mean, they're about to do the multiverse, so I mean, like, the more the merrier, you know what I mean? So, like, we could go anywhere. You can voice him. You could do like Red Sun or something like that. If you know what Red Sun is, Red Sun is the comic book.
Dude, why do I? No, I don't know if I'm familiar with that.
Okay, so Red Sun. I love talking about this. I'm sorry, that's my favorite comic book. So Red Sun is where Superman doesn't land in America. He lands in the Soviet Union. And
I've heard. Yeah, I did not.
Okay.
Though.
Okay, so it's where he lands in the Soviet Union, and there's like Soviet versions of Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. It's just like Superman is like, instead of a nuclear bomb, they have Superman. Like, that's what it is. It's a real good story, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, dude. No, I've not read that. That's insane.
They made an animated movie too. I heard it wasn't as good though, but if you want to check that out, so you can check that out. So yeah, I heard the animated movies haven't been doing as good. I mean, that last animated movie I watched that I thought was good was it's been so long. Oh my god! I think it was Flashpoint. Yeah, Flashpoint. The animated movie of Flashpoint, and I think that was the last one I saw that I like really was like, I'm all in. I think that's a lot of people's opinions are there like really hyped, but I hear that they're going on a good path. They're releasing Superman again, Superman Son of Tomorrow, and they're releasing an interactive Batman animated movie, The Death in the Family, where you can pick if you kill Jason Todd or not, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff they got going on. Yeah,
that is awesome. Yeah, it's interesting like how they're doing a lot of that, the interactive media and storytelling. That's kind of cool. Like there's a lot of stuff happening like that.
Yeah. Because you're mostly familiar with interactive storytelling like video games and stuff. You're not really used to movies and TV shows doing it like that.
But there's a lot more of that. And I think it's because also we watch a lot of stuff on our phones and stuff like that. So it's a little bit easier to kind of do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see where that goes. What music are you into?
Damn, that's a question, dude. Dude, that's hard. I like. I was thinking about this the other day. I think about this frequently. Like if my iTunes was on random and there was someone else listening to it, they'd be like, "Oh, this guy's insane. He's a crazy person." Okay, cool. Because I'll have like the soundtrack to the American Dragon Ball Z, and then I'll have like classical music, or then I'll have like Linkin Park, like someone who will hate them. Like, yeah.
Hey, I got it right here. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Dude, Linkin Park, I mean, it's a freaking tragedy, man. Because I think Chester Bennington, his voice was incredible, man, and I really, I like what they were doing. When I'd watch like live concerts or whatever. I actually never went to a concert, but I like to see them. They're live. They are crazy good, man. They're awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like old school like trance. Now it's like EDM and stuff like that, but I don't really like the newer stuff. I'm not super into. But I like trance. Not techno as much, but I was into like that kind of stuff, like with the vocals and stuff like that. DJ Tiesto, like old school stuff, man. I mean, he's still doing it, obviously, but like I like the what else, dude? I like Spanish music, man. I like Alejandro Fernandez he's like this Mexican singer. I love that dude. He's got jams, but I listen to Vicente Fernandez. It's just like I said, man. I'll be listening to everything. Like I'll listen to J-pop a lot. I like a lot of Japanese music. Ketsumishi, like Utara Hikaru, Hamasaki Ayumi. Like I like a lot of different. Yeah, I like a lot of stuff, man. So Queens of the Stone Age, whatever, man. Like I listen to a ton.
Right, I'm with you right there. My main, yeah, like I love rock. I love rock, rap, rock and rap are interchangeable. I love both of them. My favorite. Then we got R&B and jazz. I used to play the trumpet while I was in band in middle school. I kind of stopped. I don't know if I should have. Maybe I don't know. It just kind of band fell off for me because me in middle school had a group of homies. We were in band. We'd goof around in the back of the classroom. Oh my gosh, middle school was just such an experience. After middle school and high school started, everyone went everywhere. One of my friends moved to Tennessee, South Carolina. One of them went back to New York. One of them went to a different high school. So we just kind of all split up. So the magic kind of left, and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I picked up a guitar. The guitar's over there, and I'm just getting back into it now. So yeah. So we could literally like talk about music forever. Like Linkin Park, like I love this band. Like I just bought a $200 box set of Linkin Park memorabilia because it's their 20th anniversary of this album, Hybrid Theory. Hold on, Hybrid Theory. It's 20th anniversary, and they're making a box set with 3 LPs and like their whole CDs. And they're releasing songs that we've never heard before, like Chester's auditions. I think we're hearing, like when he auditioned to get into the band, and we're hearing like demos we've never heard before. And it's just so much. I could literally talk about it for hours. Like it's so cool. Yeah, and I talked to the son, like I said, and that was an experience. And I'm trying to talk to Johan. I want to talk to Johan. You know who that is?
Is it the DJ?
Yeah, you hear the like scratching tables in the song? Yeah. I want to talk to him. So Johan is that. I would love to talk. But yeah, I just love that band so much. So when I heard you say like Linkin Park, I was like, hey, let's go. Because I love that band, man, for real. So.
Yeah, I like them a lot. Like I said, man, it's just like that's just scratching the surface. Like I love like 80s music, like just like I just like there's so much. That's a super generic, like, I like 80s music, but, like, yeah, man, you sound like Whitney Houston, or you're talking about, like, I don't even know. There's so much, like, George Michael, like, whatever. There's just a ton, and I listen to that stuff a lot. Like 80s rock also, man, I'm into it, man. I'm into that stuff, man.
Yeah, I got into it recently, like, Metallica, Korn, Slayer, Disturbed, like I'm just into a bunch of that stuff,
Yeah, it's funny. Korn, I remember like liking Follow the Leader. I was like, that album's so good, dude. That album's like crazy good, man. I still listen to it, and I'm like, damn, all right, cool, man, all right.
Yeah, Jonathan, I would love to speak to Jonathan Davis, just getting his head and how he like does all the stuff that he does. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I guess I have two more questions for you. I have two more questions for you. What is your thoughts on the stigma around mental health? Like you talked about it earlier, is getting better, but how do you think we could fix the stigma around speaking on it?
I think, it's weird, man. It's like representation. I think representation is the most important thing. If you're watching TV, if you're reading books, or you're, watching movies, or whatever it is, representation is really important. And I think one of the problems with representation is that, again, everyone wants like the perfectly packaged version of a thing, right? So they go like, oh, therapy looks like X, or like depression looks like X. Like it has to look like this. And it's not one size fits all for any of those things, for anything really. Life is really complicated and has like a million different moving pieces. So I think, well, and this is funny because, again, my short film's I didn't make it with the intention of it being about mental health. But I do talk to a therapist in it. And I didn't even think about making that like an important thing. It just was part of the story. And I think the more you can incorporate stuff like that and make it part of the story without being like, now the story is about this thing, because that's not what the story's about. That's a part of life. The actual story is what my character's going through, right? And he starts here, he goes here, he goes here, he goes here, and he goes here, and ends here, whatever. So in my head, I go, if we did that with representation across the board, it's like I think that's important. Having people talk about therapy without making a joke about it all the time or being like, oh, this is I think that's the other thing too. It's like if you constantly make like jokes about it, I don't know. It just feels like you're trying to. I don't know. You're not taking it seriously. And again, like I think everything can be made fun of. Everything should be joked about. But I think that there's a weird thing that happens with mental health where it's like, oh, well, my therapist says, and it's like it gets a laugh, and you're just like, okay, anyway, let's move on. And you're just like, it's so weird. It's like you kind of like you pointed it out, but you had a weird opinion about it, and like
Right.
it doesn't make anyone comfortable talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think kind of honest representation matters, and as long as like it's not becoming about that thing, it's so weird. Like I think a good example is like Good Will Hunting. I don't know. I like that movie a lot because it's not about therapy. It's about a dude and like what he's going through and like how his life has
Right.
been affected by all this stuff. And then he finds someone that he can talk to about it. And I think to me, that's how you can start kind of being like, oh wow, that's interesting. Okay, how do I get involved? Because kind of like what we're talking about, the unknown. When you say go to therapy, people's unknown, that question mark, scares people. They don't want to go. They go, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Like, well, I mean, I'm happy, so why would I? What am I going to talk about? Like, they have this weird. That's the stigma. That's the thing. They've heard other people say stuff, but they never experience it themselves. So I
Right.
think when we talk about it, and the more we're honest about that stuff, I think it will become a little bit easier for younger people to kind of be aware of it. And I think that's already happening. I do think that younger people are more aware of these things and they're not as like freaked out by it. And I think older people are
Yeah.
like, nah, man, you gotta like hold it all inside and like whatever. And it's like, I wish there was just a balance, man. Like, I don't want to be constantly talking about my mental health as like, oh my god, I'm so whatever, because that's not all of me, man. It's a part of who I am.
Exactly.
And I think the same thing for culture goes. Like, me being bilingual and like growing up like in a Mexican American household, that isn't everything that I am either. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that when you're talking about representation, when you see someone on TV and you go like, "Oh, there's a character and they look like me," that's cool, man. But then they spend like the whole time talking about how they're different and how they're like this other person. You're like, I don't want to just be defined by that, And I don't think we should be defined by our mental health, and I don't think we should be defined by like how we were born, like something, like the color of our skin or like our like that. That shouldn't be all we are. We're everything, right? So I think that's how you start doing it. Representation, that little by little, showing different versions of this stuff and making it safe for people to not feel like it's weird. That it's not this weird other thing all the time. It's commonplace. That it can be normal and like it can be healthy. Like
Most definitely.
yeah. People are weird about like that stuff, but then they go like, oh, I got a personal trainer and I work out. It's like it's the same thing, man. Like I don't know how you're looking at these things differently. Oh, you think it's cool and healthy to work out your body, but you don't think it's cool and healthy to work out your mind? Like, what's up? Like, what are we talking about, man? Like, what are we doing?
Exactly. Most
That's
definitely.
super important. Anyway, but yeah, I hope more and more people talk about it, and I hope more and more television and film they start kind of showing it in like a very kind of more real light.
Wow. You hit it right on the head, man. Yeah, it's most definitely spoke on representation. I completely agree with that. A lot of people want to complain about representation and this, that. It's just like I get it. I mean, like it could be, you don't want it to be preachy. You know what I mean? You don't want it to be preachy or like just
Yeah,
like shoved down your face. But I think there's a cult, but there's also like a negative side to people talking about it because people are gonna automatically think whenever they see like a person of color or something like that, they're gonna think it's propaganda, it's SAWs. It's just like, yo, calm down. Like my man, calm down. It's not all that, and I just think it's
yeah,
real. Like people complaining about Hawkman being black. I don't like. I'm trying to understand where they're coming. Like I don't. It's annoying and it's weird. Y'all don't know y'all history. It's fine. It's the movie's fault, but because you guys haven't really seen your
yeah.
Egypt like that. But it's just I don't know. You just want to, like, same with mental health. You want to do it to bring awareness, but not be too preachy and make it your
Yeah,
identity and make
and that's
you
hard. Dude, that's really hard. And the thing about it is, it's a numbers game. So we have like 100 years of cinema, and like I grew up like watching like a lot of the actors that I grew up watching. You know, and to be honest with you, man, I never even thought about this, but I was like, a lot of them are white, dude. They're white. They're like white dudes. They're white men, and there's nothing wrong with that. I grew up and the point to me of storytelling is that I can see a story about someone that doesn't look anything like me, and if the story is good and it's told well, then I'll now understand more about life, about myself, about someone else. That's important, right? But it's like I wish that we had that benefit. I wish that we had that that freedom to have people be like, oh, I want to hear your stories too, and then
right.
we could tell stories without it being like, oh, I'm gonna leave. Because it's like I don't know any conversation I ever entered of being like, hey, what's going on? I'm Jeff. I'm a Latino actor, and I'm Latino. First of all, number one, I'm Latino. So I want everyone to know I'm Latino. Okay, second, third. Yeah, who does that? Who does that? Like,
Right.
if we're talking about video games, I'm just gonna talk about video games. That's the end of it. Like, I don't
Right.
bring that whole aspect of myself and lead with that all the time. And I really wish, like, there's a lot of pressure, like you said, it's one of those things where it's a fine balance. You don't want to be preachy, but you have to represent somehow. So it's like, and I think the way to start fixing that stuff is to have more and more people that look like us that can tell stories also. Give us the freedom to tell stories, but give us the freedom to tell the stories we want to tell, and don't force us to tell stories that the dynamic that we're like, oh, well, I'm a Latino and that's all I am. It's like, yo, that's messed up, man. Like, it's actually funny.
Right.
I threw in like one word in my short film that I say something in Spanish. I say paisa. It's like, I don't think anyone will pick up on that. I don't think anyone would notice that. But to me, it was like, yeah, that's my life. Like, sometimes I'll say stuff in Spanish. But I didn't make a whole thing about, like, that's what it is. Like, that's, it just, that's part of my life. And I said that word. That's that, So I think that's important. Stuff like that people start going like, okay, I see the whole of this person. And then, oh, they're also like this thing. So that's what once we're seeing his whole, then it's going to be easier for everyone, dude.
Absolutely, most definitely. This is my last question. This is how I always end my interviews off because I think it's very important to end it right here, especially during the times that we live in. So, what would be your current message to the world during the current times that we live in? Obviously, we live in a pandemic. We have Black Lives Matter protests, we have an election coming up. People are scared and are looking for hope. So, what would you say to people right now?
Be excellent to each other. Like that, that sounds so stupid, but yeah. I remember watching the original Bill and Ted movie, and every time I watch it, I still watch that scene. Like, the movie's kind of goofy and like whatever, and there's that scene where they go into the future, and they say that they're like, "What do we do?" Like, there's all these like future people, and it's like, be excellent to each other, and it gives me goosebumps whenever I see that. I think everyone needs to just take it a little bit easy on themselves. It's really hard. I mean, I find myself sometimes by myself in my apartment. I'll leave the water running too long while I'm washing dishes. Like, this happened to me today, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm terrible. I'm a terrible person. Like, I'm wasting water. Oh my god, what am I doing? Oh my god, oh my god." And I start freaking out, and it's just like, you can't live like that. You have to be aware of the things that you're doing, but don't be so aware of the things that you're doing that you can't move. Like, I really, if you're talking about Black Lives Matter, it's like, hey, everyone, be aware that this is a real important thing. That this is Black Lives Matter, dude. In everything that they matter. It's not just like, oh, Black Lives only matter when they say things that I want to hear. It's like, no, that's not how it works. If you're giving a microphone and you want them to have equality and you want them to be able to speak, then you gotta allow people to say everything that's inside and listen. And I really, if I had to say like a thing, I would say be excellent to each other and just really listen, really hear. Like I think people get caught up in the words and they get caught up in the technicality. It's just like if you really listen to what people are saying, I don't know, it shouldn't be that hard to understand there's a lot of suffering happening right now. And if you just listen to other people and you really take it in, then I think you can become a better person. So, I wish people would listen, take it in, process, sit on it, and then react. You don't have to react right away. I get it. We have our phones. I can tweet something right now. I can be like, oh, I feel this way. I'm mad. I'm going to tweet this thing. I'm going to put this Instagram thing. Oh, I'm so mad, or I'm so happy, or I'm so whatever. And I really wish people would just be a little more still, man. Just a little more still. Just sit with their feelings for a second. Let themselves feel. Think about what's going on, and then respond. You don't have to be so reactionary, man. Like, that would be helpful, I think, to a lot of people.
Absolutely, and that was amazing. 100% agree with everything you said. I think people just need to sit down and just stop being so closed-minded and
Yeah.
listen to other people's opinions and just understand where people are coming from. We'll get further as a culture, as a society, just being open-minded.
100%, man. Yeah, totally. So anyway, but dude, thanks for having me, man. This is a great conversation.
Absolutely, yes, it's great. I'm beyond proud of you and excited for your future as an artist in this industry. I'm very excited to see where God takes you, where you go as a human. Like, this is dope. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on. Just glad to have you on, man.
Dude, absolutely. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. This is so great. Keep doing this, man. Keep doing it. You're great. You're great at this, man. I love it, dude. No,
Thank you. Funny.
I'm proud of you. Like, this is like, I know adults now are doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's really cool you're starting at this age, and it's great, man. Like, keep doing it, man.
Thank you so much. Funny thing is, I started in April, and just how I've grown from April to September is just freaking insane. It's insane. So yeah, man, just thank you so much. That really means the world to me, and I hope to have you on some other day. And
yeah, man, please, yeah, absolutely. I'd love it, dude. And I'll send you the stuff when I do the short. I'll post it, and you can, take a look at everything. But yeah.
Absolutely. Is there anything you'd like to plug before we get off?
No, that's about it, man. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys want to follow me, at I am Jeff Torres. That's like where I'm at. That's Twitter and that's Instagram. Yeah, that's where I hang out online, man. You can see my stuff. I'll post pictures. And I'll post whatever the hell I'm up to.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, this has been Jantmor Interviews. You can always find me on Instagram at Jantmor TV and Twitter at 02J Morales. Terrible username, but it's still that. Jeff, have an amazing day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, dude.